Logan was born prematurely, 2.5 months. He was in NIC unit for 14 days. I noticed some things that weren't normal about Logan as he progressed into his 2 years of age. He wasn't making eye contact, he wasn't speaking, he wasn't turning around to loud noises. I contacted therapists that diagnosed him with autism at the age of 2.5.
He was diagnosed with autism when he was like 3 years old. He's nonverbal and he has a lot of sensory issues, like he is very sensitive with his ears.
In Austin's case, we came to address two very specific issues. One was his attention and focus. So he tends to zone out a lot, which is something common in children who are on the autistic spectrum. And the other piece is that he has generalized low tactility.
We came to see Linda Howe after being recommended by a friend from California who had heard about her in a stroke victims group. And we were hopeful that maybe we would see some kind of progress that we hadn't seen through physical therapy and occupational therapy. And after his first visit, we were completely sold on it.
So we found Dr. Linda Howe in Albuquerque. We went to see her. And immediately afterwards, Dr. Linda asked, "How are you doing, Logan?" And he looked at her and nodded to say good.
We went home. Some of the areas where he struggled were jumping, running, and about 30 minutes after we got home, he was jumping over his brother. He was running around the kitchen. He was moving his arms in ways that he hadn't moved before. So we came back for a second treatment, and after the second treatment, it was the same thing, undeniable results. He was cognitively making connections that he had never made before. His vocabulary changed. He was much easier to understand and making intuitive leaps that we had never observed him making before. It was like a world of knowledge had just been locked in his brain, and we were just first catching a glimpse of it.
Interestingly, from the third or second session onwards, Austin started sleeping very, very deeply, which I know from our experience with a lot of other therapies is a sign of the brain regenerating and rewiring, because healing can only happen during sleep. And then from the third day onward, very curiously, this was something that I didn't specifically ask Dr. Howe to address, but it seems to be working amazingly, is that his motivation and his desire to get certain things done without prodding has just skyrocketed.
After the treatments, I don't know why, but he just wanted to be hugging us and kissing us, like when pretty much before we have to be looking after him to be like to be hugging him and all that. And he seems more tolerant when it comes to be around people.
Well, autistic children don't like to have eye contact with people. My son in particular seems to be startled if he looks at somebody, so he avoids eye contact. And he's been making a lot more eye contact since our sessions with Dr. Howe.
Since we've been seeing Dr. Linda Howe for scalp acupuncture, Michael has started kindergarten, and we've seen huge jumps in his performance at school, his ability to focus, his coordination, how he runs and how he moves his body. He's very engaged, whereas before he really was very passive and not aware always of what was going on.
He is overall more flexible, overall better at getting his work done. The motivation continues to be improving, and the handwriting is really coming along nicely. He himself actually noticed the last time we were here that when the needles are in his scalp, his handwriting is even better than when the needles are not in. And the fact that he observed that in and of itself is, in my opinion, huge.
This is the sheet that I drew during acupuncture, and it is better, and acupuncture makes me better, and acupuncture is great.
A few weeks ago, he had a test at school, and the teacher told me that he did really good, that he did everything by himself, and they do it like in English and in Spanish, which that tells us that he's bilingual, because my language is Spanish, my first language. So it's been kind of like the more changes that we've been seeing since he's doing the acupuncture, and he's more able to follow comments like we tell him, take off your clothes, it's time to get a shower, and he does that, and he goes straight to the restroom.
Oh, I have been after Logan forever to shut the gate so that our little dogs don't get out, because the highway's right there. And the other day, for the millionth time, I said, Logan, don't let the doggies get out, shut the gate. He shut the gate. It might not seem like a big deal to some people that their son shut the gate, but he shut the gate. And I know that's because of the acupuncture.
Omar, his autism is severe, but we're doing our best, and we know that we're gonna get something really good out of this.
I'm so relieved to see that we've made these big jumps and that it was something so available to us here in Albuquerque. We were so fortunate to find Dr. Linda Howe. It's just such a blessing to see our kid really become the person that we always knew was inside of him, but he couldn't really communicate to us all of these characteristics that we're just now beginning to see.
Needles make me faster.